All right, boys and girls, so I just want to go over this week's Ixl, which is due tomorrow. So for the first problem, what you're looking at is I give you a picture of a triangle, and the directions say, which shows how to copy the triangle, cut the copy into pieces, and form a rectangle, okay? So if you look at this, we're going to go with our first image, and I'm going to actually take a screenshot, because if you think about this, if I cut or make a line down here, you can see how half of the dark purple triangle makes up half of the rectangles, okay? So that dark purple triangle in the first image is taking up half the space of the whole rectangle. And if you think about it, these two light triangles on the side, if you put those together, they would make another dark purple triangle upside down, okay? You can kind of see how I'm splitting it into fourths. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. You can see how these two pieces make up half of the whole rectangle. If you look at the first one, notice how the point doesn't go all the way to the top. Therefore, you wouldn't say that's half. Because if you were to cut and make it like this, these two triangles on the side are actually bigger than the two dark triangles in the middle. Okay, so those two light triangles are actually taking up more than half of the space. So for this one, I would select the first choice. Then what we're doing is we're finding area of the triangle. So the first thing they want us to do is area of the rectangle. In class, we've been talking about our formula. Area equals base times height. Okay, so for a rectangle, we use that, base times height. So in this scenario, that's 7 times 6, which is going to equal 42. Okay, but if we want the triangle, we know that the triangle is only half of the space of the rectangle. So when we do base times height, we have to remember that we're going to want to divide by 2. We're splitting it up into half. To find half of something, you're cutting it into 2 parts. Okay, think of it if you have like a whole, a slice of pizza, okay, and you want half the pizza, you're going to split it up into 2 parts. That's why we're dividing by 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 7 times 6, which is the base and the height. That would give us the entire inside of the rectangle. But then because we only want to focus on the dark purple triangle, which is half of the rectangle, we're going to divide by 2. So 7 times 6 is 42. 42 divided by 2 gets you 21. All right, so now for this example, it says, which shows how to copy the triangle, cut the copy into pieces, and form a rectangle. Well, instantly you should look at that first one and know, well, that's not a rectangle, okay? If you think about it, this green triangle, oops, oh, I hit the right answer. Okay, that's all right. Same concept here. We're doing, so in this picture, this is the triangle that they had on that last slide. Okay, you can see how right here, that dark little triangle makes up half of this rectangle, and this dark triangle makes up half of this rectangle. So therefore, the dark green triangles together make up half of that whole large rectangle. So if we want to find area of the rectangle, we're going to use our formula that we worked on last week. Area equals base times height, okay, which is 9 times 4. That gets us 36. But if we want to focus on the triangle, we have to remember that the formula is area equals base times height divided by 2. So our base is 9, our height is 4, and we're dividing that by 2. So 36 divided by 2 is going to give you an area of 18. So that dark green triangle represents an area of 18. Okay? All right. So that is all I'm going to show you guys for today. Actually, we can talk about this one. So you really want to think about for this one, Okay, which of these shapes is making a parallelogram? So if you look at these shapes, they both look very similar to a parallelogram, but I'll tell you right now, this first one is not a parallelogram, okay? If you notice, if you looked, and let me take a screenshot, we know that parallelograms, opposite sides are congruent, meaning they're the same length. So if you look at this picture, this side and this side are not the same length, okay? And this side and this side are not the same length. So the first option is not a possibility. If you look at the second option, you see that these two, the right and left side, are the same length, they're congruent, and so are the top and bottom. So this is a parallelogram. This first one is not. So when you go back to make your selection, you would want to pick option number 2. Okay? Now for this example, remember, they couldn't make the height perpendicular on the inside. So this is one of those examples where they extended the base to make their height. So your base and height are 7 and 8. So when you find the area of the parallelogram, you're doing base times height, which is 8 times 7, okay, which is 56. And then to find the area of the triangle, we know that that formula is area equals base times height divided by 2. So that's going to be 7 times 8 divided by 2. So you get 56 divided by 2. All right. And then when you do that division, that is going to get you your final answer, okay, which is 28. All right, and that is how you find area of triangles and how they relate to the area of a parallelogram.